Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by David Sellinger of Deep Sentinel. Real human guards watching your cameras in real time, an absolutely fascinating company. David, thanks so much for joining us.
Seth, great to be here. Thank you for making the time.
Absolutely. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
Sure. So my background's in artificial intelligence. I've been doing that for about 25 years now. I got started at Stanford, got to run the AI team at Amazon. And amazingly enough, in about the last 7 years, there's been a new type of artificial intelligence called deep learning that's hit the scene. And I had the great fortune of digging into that right as it launched. And then the great misfortune of having my neighbor have a home invasion at exactly the same time. And it was one of those kind of aha moments where the two things hit you at the same time and eureka, hey, we could solve this problem with AI and make a totally different solution. I've been working on it for about 4 years. And, the good news is it does exactly what I wanted to do, which was make sure that the situations like my neighbor having a home invasion don't happen anymore.
Okay, so that is fascinating and a huge claim. So tell us a little bit about what Deep Sentinel does.
Sure. So at a very high level, what we do, our mantra, we're a mission-driven organization. We believe that, people should feel safe in their homes and in their businesses. And what we do is we looked at what does it take to stop that from happening? Let's look at real crime situations. Let's look at package theft at the low end. Let's look at burglaries. Let's look at this home invasion of my neighbor. And let's figure out how could we have prevented it. Our slogan is predict, prevent, protect. And so the number one thing is if you can get before this and stop it from happening, that would be key. So what we do for a business or a home that's protected by Deep Sentinel, the second you walk up to the property, the cameras trigger, the AI starts running, and within about 500 milliseconds, half a second, the AI decides, is this a potential threat or not? If it decides there's a threat, it brings a guard onto the camera to view that in under 10 seconds. And so within, on average, under 20, 25 seconds, if somebody's preparing to break in, preparing to do a home invasion, assaulting, stealing something, you're hearing over the cameras, this is Deep Sentinel security, stop what you're doing, get the heck off the property. Sometimes we use other words in that spot and get out of here. Most of the time, that's enough. Most burglars, like what you see on their face, we produced this video series, you just see them so surprised that they got caught so incredibly quickly. They're shocked, they're caught off guard, they leave. In those few situations where that doesn't happen, our guards are trained to escalate. Hey, you, yeah, I see you. You're wearing a stupid looking sweater and you're hiding behind a tree as if I didn't see you. Get the heck off the property. The police are on their way, which by the way, the police are on their way, because when we call the police, I don't just say, hey, this is ADT, I have an open door, which the police don't really care about open doors. That's not part of their job to protect. We describe the guy and tell them to come arrest them, and they do.
That is absolutely incredible. So how does your AI tell the difference between what is a threat and is what not a threat? I mean, we don't want the secret sauce, obviously, but just tease us a little bit.
Okay, so the way AI works is you feed it lots and lots of examples. and it learns over time how to adjust those examples. Because we train our AI with all the videos and all the guard feedback that we get from all these different situations, the AI learns, hey, I think the guard probably wants to intervene here. The guard probably wants to call the police here. It's kind of like the way if you own a Tesla, over time, Tesla's learned not to copy a driver, but hey, in this type of a situation, the driver's probably going to steer left. The driver's probably going to slow down. The driver's probably going to speed up. And so we focus on looking at that behavior, and the AI tries to predict the behavior of the guards and then compare that with the real situation.
How many homes and businesses does Deep Sentinel protect right now? Am I allowed to ask that?
Sure. We've got customers in every one of the 50 states. We've got thousands of customers, just under 5,000.
Well, that's an awesome start. And you probably analyzed many, many, many events.
Millions and millions every day.
That is fantastic. What has the response been to your customers?
Yeah, so I mean, again, like that's probably the thing that wakes me up. I've had a chance to be a part of some really amazing companies, Amazon, I started Redfin, and Deep Sentinel hits this chord where your question, like, what is the customer response? That is what I wake up for every single day. None of my other endeavors or projects or companies have ever changed the lives of our customers, right? Like, there's probably two examples I can give you that are my favorite. Once a week, I get an email from somebody that says, X happened to me a month ago. I had a break-in, I had a burglary, I have a restraining order against my ex, and I haven't slept since then, and I slept last night. That is one of those things that you just don't get that type of thing, that we have changed the trajectory of someone's life. In fact, if people are looking at the video here, right behind me, I have the t-shirt of a fallen officer. And that fallen officer, we protect his family. And that changes the way that entire police department views the widow of that family, because they were under threat from a bunch of different causes. You don't get that by shipping books or by selling real estate. It's an amazing business.
And then how does it work in terms of, you mentioned they come over the camera, the speaker. So does Deep Sentinel, does that work with my existing Ring or Nest doorbell? Do I replace that with your stuff? How does the process work?
Great question. Yeah. So our product, we work with existing cameras, not Ring and Nest, unfortunately, because those are proprietary closed systems and they don't let anybody use them. But if you have like a PoE, power over Ethernet wired cameras, we work with a lot of the different wired cameras out there. We have our own system, so we have both a wired Deep Sentinel branded custom camera. I've got one right here. It's pretty slick little piece of hardware that we designed ourselves, and then we also work with those others. The key to the whole system is that we have an AI processor. So at the center of the Deep Sentinel system is this AI that's running incredibly fast. It runs in real time, and that has to run on property. So if it's in your business, it's on site at the business. We use a special hub that has that AI processor so that we can respond quickly and respond consistently.
How have you, I mean, now the video doorbell system, I know yours is so much more, and that it's not a video doorbell, but there are so many of those systems now on the market, thanks to Ring and Nest.
For sure.
How do you get the word out? How do you market? How do you show your differentiation?
Let me answer that in a single number that I have been observing over the last few years, specifically 2021 and the early part of 2022, which is 6x. The demand for somebody to watch their cameras has gone up 6x between 2018 and the beginning of 2022. Meaning people are looking at their Rings, they're looking at their Nests, they're watching people that stole their stuff last night while they were asleep, and then they're starting to ask the question like, hey, this was supposed to protect me. What did it do? In fact, that's exactly the question that I asked the police officer after we had this home invasion in my neighborhood. My neighbor has an alarm system. She has a $10,000 state-of-the-art camera system, and she still got broken into. And so I asked the officer, like, hey, what else could she have done? What could have prevented this? And his answer was, what did you expect those things to do? Did you think the cameras were to jump out and stop the crime? And again, like I alluded to that aha moment, everybody who owns a Ring and a Nest eventually is going to have the experience where they say, gosh, nah, I have this thing, and there's the person stealing my catalytic converter, not spending 30 seconds triggering the camera once. They're there for 20 minutes, taking their time, going through my car, stealing everything out of it, stealing the catalytic converter, and all I have to show for it is this beautiful 4K video that I got for my $800 camera that I bought at Best Buy. Burn. So they actually do the best job of marketing for us that anybody could do. They are the proof and the pudding that cameras aren't by themselves are unable to stop crime.
Right. They just record it.
They just record it. And if you have any buddies that are or a gal friends that are police officers, ask them to show them the drawer, because they all have a drawer full of thumb drives that have all these videos of people stealing stuff, vandalizing stuff, trespassing, and nothing happens.
You would think that would the whole point would be to be a deterrent. If I'm a thief or I'm a burglar and I know, oh, I can see that house has a Ring doorbell, I'll skip and go to the next one.
That's exactly what they sold when they initially did it. But your point was exactly right. There are so many of them, they've become ubiquitous. Just like you and I, if we hear a car alarm when we're walking down the street, what do? Do we stop and like run at it? And no, we like plug our ears, talk a little louder so our friends can hear us, and move on with our lives. That's exactly what burglars do with doorbells. In fact, let me actually share something with you that I think your listeners will find interesting. Not only are burglars just ignoring the Ring doorbells and the video doorbells, they are using them to determine if someone is at home and paying attention. So frequently, instead of just ringing the doorbell or avoiding it or walking around, they will go up to your video doorbell and they will ring it 2, 3, 4, 5 times to make sure that they're not going to get caught. If they ring it 3 times and no one responds, no one comes over the audio, your house is theirs, right? You're on a plane somewhere to the San Juan Islands or Hawaii, and they have 3 hours to do whatever they want in your house. And they've just tested it, and you've confirmed it for them.
I never thought about that. Well, I mean, unless they're ringing it while we're asleep, no, it would wake us up. I mean, in our case, we always answer it. But I see your point. If not, I mean, ours goes to our phone. So if
you're driving your kid to baseball practice, right. You're asleep for 30 minutes, you're on a plane, you're busy in a meeting, you're doing a podcast interview, for example,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And you just don't have time to answer it. That's where Deep Sentinel comes in. You're a business owner, right? And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Who wants to wake up every single week? One of the things that we found is that a lot of businesses, unfortunately, especially this last couple of years, they're not getting vandalized once a year. They're getting vandalized once a night, twice a night. They're having a burglary once a week, and you just can't sustainably respond to your phone 24/7 every single day when you're getting subjected to crime that frequently. And I would love to say our society is handling that well, but I think you and I both know we aren't, right? I mean, crime as it relates to outdoor stuff, it's nothing but up and to the right.
You are absolutely right. You've built an incredible business. You talked about what wakes you up, what gets you excited. With all the success you've had, what's your biggest challenge now?
Well, right now it's COVID, without a doubt. We're having to deal with staffing issues like every business. This last week has been a little bit nutsoids. That affected our supply chain. We actually ran out of inventory for a little while last year. We're still struggling to get inventory back in. Which is, that's a pretty high class problem.
I was going to say, better to have too much demand than not enough.
Oh my gosh. And it really, in the last year and a half, we kind of flipped that switch where we're struggling for demand. We were paying a lot of advertising to find the right customers. And in 2021, our customer demand went through the roof. Our cost to acquire a customer went down by a factor of 10.
Wow.
It's like, if you would have talked to me at the beginning of the year, I would have loved the business, but we were kind of like really kind of trying to get going. Over 2021, we went from trying to get going to, like you said, struggling with demand.
Well, we know your time's incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. Anything else you want to cover that I didn't think to ask you?
No, I mean, I think you did a great job. The one thing I would really dig into for all of your readers, regardless of what industry they're in, certainly like look at Deep Sentinel, take a look at our YouTube page. We have videos that prove everything we do. But one of the neat things that I've learned that I would really proselytize and I love talking about is artificial intelligence. And sometimes that's talked about in the media as like this very fantastic thing, and it's going to end the world or all these things. It's really neat right now. If you have an extra hour and you're going to watch, rewatch Game of Thrones or something like that, and you have a choice to do something else, I would love it if every business owner in every sector just educated themselves a little bit about AI, because it is what made Deep Sentinel possible. We could not do this at the scale that we do it as well as we do it without AI. And it's not the scary AI or the boring AI from the early 2000s. It's really amazing. It's transformative. It's going to change medicine. It's changing security. We are going to change and transform security, but it's going to touch every industry out there.
That is great advice. This has been Seth Greene with David Sellinger from deepsentinel.com. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.